It just frustrates me every once in a while that I follow the standards of care, and a lot of people that I know and have helped personally did not follow the standards of care. And especially the people that I know, I explain to them the standards of care. Every single person who has come to me for help, I've explained the standards of care to them, and not a one has followed it. And I know it's old, you don't have to. Technically, legally, you do have to follow the standards of care. Legally, that is still the only guideline that we as trans people have. And I think you should respect it. I mean, not all laws should be respected. There's some laws that are really fucking messed up. And just because something's a law doesn't mean you should respect it. But I think that the standards of care are pretty reasonable. I mean, no surgeon wants to do surgery on somebody if they don't have a recommendation letter saying that, yeah, this person is trans. It's not going to be some random person who wants to walk in, like, got a hair up their ass one day and is like, you know what, I'm sick of having tits. Get rid of them. Or some, I don't know, pervert guy who isn't actually trans will come in and be like, you know what, give me breast implants. I want to feel myself up. Because there's some really fucking weird people out there. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's not trans who's probably thought of having boobs before, and just, I don't know, and plus, it's legal shit. I mean, the doctors gotta cover their ass, therapists have gotta cover their ass, surgeons have gotta cover their ass. If they do something, and eventually someone goes, well, you know, I really didn't have the preparation, or I didn't have the mental stability, or whatever, to have this done to myself, and now I've fucked up my body for the rest of my life, and I can never get it back without horribly complicated surgery, or being disfigured or something, and they sue them. And there has been, well, I've only seen one recorded case, but there has been some trans people who did not follow the standards of care and ended up realizing after fully transitioning a couple years, have transitioned back. And they were royally pissed because their surgeon went ahead and did it. The dude gave like a few months to think about it. He didn't live and roll, and he didn't get any therapy, and the dude was just depressed and confused, and he turned himself into a woman, lived that way for a few years, and then decided, you know what, that's not what was wrong with me, give me my body back. And now he's kind of like in an F to M's body, where he's got no more he doesn't have his testicles anymore. He royally fucked up his penis going through bottom surgery. He'll never have a normal penis again. I don't think he'll really ever have a penis again, period. And he's got to take testosterone injections for the rest of his life. And I don't know what he did to his chest. It's just such a big thing. Why can't you give a couple years to think about it and really make sure that this is what you want? I mean, yeah, it's gonna fucking suck every once in a while, but fucking deal with it. Jesus. I mean, everybody is gonna have to go through some hard times. Just deal with it and make sure that this is right for you. I mean, if you're one of the people who realized that they were trans when they were a couple years old and have kept with that for the rest of their life and never or if you realize that you were trans when you were just starting puberty and you identify as trans and then you're forced to wait until you're 18 because your parents aren't accepting, that is a whole nother fucking story. I'm not trying to put those people down. The people who really knew what they want and they're forced to wait several years before they can act on it, I'm not trying to put those people down. I'm talking about the people who figure that they grew up completely normal. They never really had much of a problem. They thought they were just different, or they tried to pass it off as something else, and they weren't really sure what the fuck they were for the majority of their life. And then, and this is people like me, because I really thought I was normal growing up, except for just being a little different, a little odd, a tomboy or something. I really wasn't sure what was wrong with me. I just knew that there was something wrong with me, and I tried to pass it off as other things. And my ex-best friend was dating somebody who identified as trans, an F to M, and I don't know if it was while they were still together or after they broke up, I don't remember, but I started looking into it, and I finally realized that that was what I was. And I'm still glad that I've had the few years that I've had to really figure myself out, and I really think that a lot of people could benefit by spending a few years really figuring this stuff out. And then during that few years, you can get people around you used to it. You can deal with all your family issues. You can deal with your friend issues. You can deal with school issues, work issues, whatever kind of issues that you have, you can deal with it in those few years, and it's gonna fucking suck. I'm not gonna deny that. It is going to fucking suck. But you gotta do it. And it's a hell of a lot easier to, especially for the people around you, to slowly ease into this process while you're still thinking about it than to, like, go away and come back and all of a sudden you're a different sex. It's like, you went away and you were Tiffany, and you come back and you're, all male names just left my head. Okay, you went away and you were Tiffany, and you came back as Tommy, I don't know. Or you went away and you were Brad, and you came back and you're Sally, or, I don't know, I don't think it's very good for you or the people around you to not have some buffer time. The standards of care really are pretty reasonable. Mostly what pisses me off about it is that, and a lot of the people who don't go, what pisses me off is a lot of people who don't go through the standards of care are kind of feeding the trans stereotype of where you can just go out and get a sex change and come back, and that's it. When really, I mean, it's a huge life-changing thing that takes years and years to do. And when you don't follow the legal guidelines, it kind of looks bad on all of us. I mean, a lot of people still have that stereotype where you can go to Thailand and come back as a woman or a man. Or most people, a lot of people still have the stereotype that only men go away and come back as women. That kind of pisses me off. But as soon as I start telling people who don't really understand what I'm going through, that yeah, there's guidelines, there's legal stuff that you gotta go through. I mean, I'm required to go through therapy. I have to live in role for a year to make sure that this is what I want. These feelings have to be persistent for 2 years. As soon as I tell them about the guidelines, they're like, oh, wow, this really is a serious thing that you have to go through, and they start understanding a hell of a lot more. And I just think that the guidelines are a good thing, and that people should follow them more often. I mean, there's still the argument of where I don't want a therapist to tell me what I already know about myself, or I don't want a doctor to tell me that I'm not what I think I am, or all of that bullshit, which I didn't really like that either. That was one of the reasons why I didn't want to go to therapy at all, was because the only experience that I've had with a therapist, I was forced to go, and my grandmother picked her out, and she just sat there and agreed with my grandma the entire fucking time, when I wasn't doing anything wrong. That was a very bad bad experience for me, because I was required to do it just so I could finish school.